If you're over 60 with fine hair and you're finding that no matter what you do, your hair just doesn't look good, or maybe it does look good immediately after you style it, but it falls flat and lifeless almost instantly, well, it may be time to change up your haircut. Let's talk about it today. I want to start off today's video by sharing a very personal story with you. I have a history of alopecia, which is hair loss. If you've been here for a while, you probably know that already, because I did a lot of videos about it when I first started my channel, and I even got a hair transplant, which I made a vlog about. A lot of people actually discovered me from that vlog, but if you had no idea, surprise! I know it's kind of random. My hair loss, my transplant, recovering from the transplant, and dealing with fine thinning hair in general was quite the journey, and a lot of content was actually made about it because I felt like it was important for people to not feel alone in that very isolating experience, because I definitely felt alone when I was going through it. Fine hair is just not something that's new to me. I have a lot of experience dealing with fine and thinning hair. When you get an FUE hair transplant, a big section or the donor area of your hair at the back is shaved. Because my hair was already fine and because of the alopecia, I had very little hair at the front. When that huge section was shaved, I felt like I had absolutely no hair left, and it was honestly very, very depressing. When I went in for a haircut, my hairstylist cut my hair in a way that made it look like it was significantly thicker, and that haircut was life-changing for me, and it's still one of my favorite haircuts of all time for fine hair, and actually a shorter version of the cut that I currently have now. After that day, I started suggesting this cut to a lot of my fine hair clients, and the response was just amazing. So many people just couldn't believe how a haircut could transform their hair like that. I'm telling you, this haircut will make you look like you have 3 times the amount of hair than you actually have. In today's video, I'm gonna give my mom this haircut, and I'm gonna show you how it's done. The purpose of this tutorial is to teach you how to ask your hairstylist for a haircut like this, and to explain to you why it creates the illusion of thickness that it does. If you're struggling with your fine hair and you really wanna get a cut that makes it look thicker instantly, you found the right video. Let's go. Okay, so when you are asking for this haircut, you want to ask for a blunt bob or a blunt lob. Blunt means that there are no layers in the haircut. A bob is a cut that floats just above the shoulders at the jawline, and a lob is a longer version of the bob, and it generally sits right around the shoulder, right around the collarbone area. I currently have a lob. It's sitting right on my shoulder, but on my mom, I'm cutting a bob, which floats up a little bit. The length that you choose for you is just personal preference. The shorter you go, the thicker the hair looks, but shorter isn't always flattering on everyone. If you have a very round face or you have more weight in your face, then you want to go about 2 inches longer than the jawline to give the face a little more balance. In a round face situation, I would always recommend getting a lob over a bob. If you have nice strong jawline and an oval or a leaner face, so the opposite, a shorter bob really does look amazing because it draws a lot of attention to the jawline. If you are a mature woman and you feel self-conscious about your neck, this is like the biggest source of self-consciousness in my clients over 60, then you want to make sure that the bob line is below the chin. It can still float without hitting the shoulders, but you don't want to put that line right on the jawline. My mom actually wanted her bob to be right at her jawline. That's what she asked me for, but I know that her neck area is something that annoys her a lot. So I told her to let me cut it a little longer than that, because if we put a strong blunt line right here, there would have been arrows pointing to the specific area that she doesn't like. We want to think about hair like we think about makeup, and we want to use it to actually contour our features and bring attention to the things that we feel are beautiful, and to subtly detract from the things that we feel self-conscious about. So in summary, the first step in thinking about this haircut is thinking about the length that is ideal for your face shape and your features, what you like and what you don't like, and communicating that clearly to your stylist. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the angle of the haircut. It is extremely unflattering when a bob goes from shorter at the front to longer at the back. I got a really bad bob haircut once, and this happened to me, and I'm telling you, it was so unflattering. No one looks good with heaviness here at the nape and hollowness around the face. Trust me, no one looks good with that shape of haircut. That is why when I am cutting a bob, I always cut the front sections first as my guide, and then I cut the back slightly shorter. As you can see here, I'm cutting the entire back section to one length, keeping my fingers parallel to the floor. When your fingers are parallel and not curving to the head shape, you're creating a little over direction right behind the ear, which is going to naturally bevel the hair forward into a nice soft angle. So in summary, in this second step, you want to ask your stylist to create a soft angle forward so that the back is slightly shorter than the front. You can get really creative with this, and you can get a bob that goes from short to long quite dramatically if you want to. In this particular situation, we didn't even want it to look like it was getting longer at the front, but even if you don't want it to look like it's getting longer at the front, it still needs to get a little bit longer at the front to be flattering. It's one of those illusion things that if the length is completely one length from back to front, when you move your head a little bit, it's going to naturally look like the nape is longer than the front. So no matter what, even if you don't want it to bevel forward, it still needs to have a bit of a bevel forward to look completely straight. Now the third thing that you want to start thinking about is how you want to detail the front. Although we're not layering this haircut, you can still do a lot to customize the front. Here are some options for you. You can leave the front long and even with the rest of the hair. You can cut a full fringe in with it. This is very reminiscent of the French girl bob. If you wear a full fringe well, I love this aesthetic. It's so sophisticated and ultra chic. You can do a side fringe, and you can have that either be super long or shorter and sitting on the forehead. You can also do a curtain fringe, which is what I currently have. A curtain fringe gives you kind of the benefits of having and not having a fringe at the exact same time. It's very easy to manage. My mom has always loved having a side fringe, so that's why I cut it into her hair, and then I made sure to very softly blend it in with the sides by cutting a very soft face frame into it so it doesn't feel too disconnected for her. So in summary, in this third step, you want to take some time to think about how you want the front, and you want to communicate that with your stylist as well. Look at lots of pictures and really think about how you want the front of your bob to look, because this really changes the entire look of the bob. If you want a full fringe, a side fringe, a curtain fringe, whatever it may be, you want to have that custom to your face shape and custom to how you wear your hair, and that's really going to make it a unique look on you and not just like a generic haircut. Now after we blow dry and straighten, we have some dry cutting to do in order to customize the shape of this. Because this cut makes your hair look so thick, right? The weight at the bottom can actually be a bit boxy, and some people don't like that. This is very dependent on the hair texture. If your hair is thin and fine, you can probably leave it like this and it will look fantastic and sit very well. If you have fine hair, so the individual strands of hair are skinny, but you have quite a bit of density, so you have a lot of fine hair, then you start to run into this heavy base problem. So your stylist can dry cut and texturize to offset this issue quite easily. As my first step, I always go in and I clean up the line when it's dry and sitting in its natural position. You can see here on my mom that the base, after I cleaned up the line, is looking very dense and heavy, and that's because, again, it's unlayered, so every single strand of hair is ending at the same point. That is why this haircut makes fine hair look so thick, because every single strand of hair is ending in a strong end point. But sometimes, even if you have fine hair, too much thickness isn't always a good thing. It starts to not sit in the way that we want it to sit. My good friend Summer, who has the hair cutting channel Styles by Summer, actually taught me that you can get around this issue by taking some weight out of the hair using a scissor over comb technique. So basically what I'm doing is I am lifting the hair up with my scissors, and I'm deeply point cutting into it to remove the heaviness at the base and actually create a bit of a bevel at the nape. When I get above the occipital bone, I'm doing pretty much the same thing, but I'm pulling the hair out of the head with my fingers pointed downwards and chipping at it that way. This will give softness to the base and a natural bevel without layering and removing too much of the baseline weight, which is what we actually want. We want the baseline to be heavy so that our hair looks fuller, but we don't want it to be so heavy that it's hard to style and that it doesn't sit properly. So this is a great way to not layer it, you're not taking the weight away, but you are softening the baseline so that it's sitting a little bit nicer for you and so that you have more flexibility in how you can style it. This is the finished look. As you can see, there is so much volume, movement, and density. She can straighten it and wear it smooth and shiny like this, or she can also easily wear it with her natural texture, which also looks so adorable, as you can see here. Even though it's a shorter haircut, it's still an incredibly versatile cut that literally transforms fine, thin hair into very thick looking hair. If you want a super in-depth tutorial of this cut, if you're a hairstylist and you want to learn how to cut this step by step, I'm going to link Summer's video in my pinned comment below because she really does an amazing job of explaining this exact haircut and walking you through it in a very technical, precise way. If you have any questions about it for me and how my mom's liking it or anything like that, please leave those in the comment section below because this video is over.